Hello anyone watching. Today I will present to you my project which I created or I did in Excel spreadsheet. It's more of a like analysis of GDP growth rate in Africa, but today I'm just going to focus for Eastern Africa. Africa, especially Eastern Africa, we have GDP growth rate issues. Some countries have the growth which is unrealistic. It's like it's not growing, it's decreasing. So today I'm going to focus on the prediction so that we can predict like in the next 1 year, 2 year, how will the GDP look like, and then I'm going to use scenario manager to try and see if we increase some percentage, whether it's like export or import, how will the GDP look like? Let's dig in. So here the data, you can see we have a lot of countries which are not for Eastern Africa, and this data set is very huge. It contains something like, I don't know how many rows, but I'm sure if I scroll this it will hang because it's kinda too large for my machine, and I'm using data query to summarize some of this thing because very large. So here, okay, we have all the rows and everything which are already done. You don't have to do this because now it looks like it's threatening my machine and it's like it's going to shut down, but I'm going to show you the rows and everything, but it looks like my machine doesn't want to do that. So I'll just go direct to the calculation and let's see if here it will do the same things, but I'm not sure if it will do the same thing because I don't have a lot of rows here. So here I have the calculations, average net export, and then here I have average gross domestic product, but I'm just focusing for Eastern Africa. And then here average of export of goods and services, and then here I have the sum of GDP without net export for 2018, and it's stretching all the way to 2023. And yeah, and then we have sum of net export. See, I'm just calculating this stuff because I'm going to calculate the growth rate, and then at the end I have sum of gross domestic product, and then I have sum of net export, and then sum of gross domestic product. So now I've calculated the growth rate of each country, and then over the years from 2010. I said I'm going to calculate from 2018 to 2020. That's my main focus, and the rest I'm not going to focus. Okay, let's move to the final analysis of the visual here. Here, as you can see, I have the date. This is the timeline. This is the timeline. As you can see, when I try to do this, I'm sure it's going to manipulate the data, but in a good way, because now it's kind of, my machine is very slow. I'm sorry for that because it's kind of like doesn't want to work because it is very huge. It requires a large machine, but I managed to finish it anyway. And then here we have the countries navigation tab. You can see some countries are grayed out because they don't belong to Eastern Africa, but don't worry, you can see Zimbabwe. This data is from UN, and they kind of think, the World Bank, they kind of think like some countries which I have doubt of, they belong to East Africa, but they are registered as East Africa on the World Bank, especially Zambia. Wait, now this is the GDP prediction, and then we have a growth rate prediction. This chart will start predicting. This chart is showing us what we already have, like that is 2022 and then 2023, and then here is showing us what we already. You see, this is a realistic drop of growth rate, very tragic. And then this bar chart of average net export for 3 compare country. Don't worry about it, I'll show it later. And then we have pie chart for average GDP growth rate for 3 compared country again. And then we have the net export growth rate compared to GDP. So the net export growth rate compared to GDP, it's kind of like, I don't have to speak much. If some of you know something like economics and other stuff, you might know this. Just that my machine doesn't want to work. Okay, we have another chart which is for net export, and then we have the average GDP compared to average export. The red is showing the percentage of average export, and then here we have our GDP. Okay, now let's do the prediction. This is another thing which we call it scenario manager and prediction. You see, I told you about 3 countries. Yeah, there are 3 countries: Malawi, Djibouti, and Ethiopia. But remember, this country, they can be changed. Like, let's say for example, now we want to compare different countries. Let's try Kenya, because I'm from Kenya. You see, it's showing the changes, like over the years. 2018, that's the standard year, and then 2019 there was a drop, and then this is the GDP, and then this is the percentage of increase. So we have 2020, it's like started growing again, and then 2021 it grew, and then 2022 tragically dropped a huge percentage, and then 2023 it kind of raised 3%. Those are the things which makes it unrealistic. And then let's switch here. Let's see another country. I would like to see something like, let's try Uganda. No, Uganda. I'll just click Malawi. See, the first year is kind of raised 10%, and then 6%, and then 5%, and then it's kind of dropped. This one has realistic growth. Wow. And then here we have Ethiopia. I just leave Ethiopia there because it also have realistic growth apart from Kenya. What's wrong with Kenya? Very unrealistic. This percentage, it's saying that it grows was to 85%, 87% from the past year. Wow, that's very unrealistic. Now, this year scenario manager, we can input the country from the 3 compared country, and then we can predict by changing the percentage of net export and the growth rate. If we try to change, and then it will start calculating the coming years from the first year. This is the standard year, which is also the last year from 2023, and then it will start doing the analysis like automation from that year to the next, up to the 5th year, and it will give you the total outcome after this year. Let's say this is the average net export percentage of Kenya, and then we say like, what if we want to increase the percentage of net export to 15%, what will be the outcome in the next 5 years? We can just do this and then click and then write the, you see now it's giving us the result. It shows like there was no visible change, but it still have change. And then we say, let's say we want to predict if the growth rate changes. Let's say we want to change the growth rate to something like 10%. Beware, writing number like that will result to making a realistic percent. Now you see, that's what we call it, scenario manager. It doesn't change much, but it kinda changed. And then we have the growth rate of those three compared country, and then we have our export. Now let's go to the prediction again, the one which I made here. The prediction, we write target here. Let's say I want to target 2024. What will be the result? You have to write 4-digit, then click enter. It kinda changed this chart. See, this is now for 2024. We didn't have 2024 before, but now we have 2024, and it's showing you it will drop. This for all the countries. But let's say click Tanzania, it will show how Tanzania will go, but Tanzania looks like it doesn't change much. And then let's clear the filter. Let's try for Uganda. It will drop. Let's do for Zambia. It will drop. Wow, it looks like there's no country which will rise in 2024. It rises. Burundi. That's how it works. And then let's predict the next year, 2025. You see, it kinda raised. This is the average of all the countries, but let's say you want to see Comoros. Yeah, it's kinda doing the same things. It's rising. Djibouti is going up. And then let's say we have something like predicting something like, oh sorry, that my phone, predicting something like net export in 24. Okay, 2024. Yes. Now let's see where was the changes. This is going to the net export chart, which is here. Wow. And this one is very complicated. Let me finish this thing up. It looks like I'm taking a lot of minutes. 2025, and then it's changed again. It kind of did something which looks like a change, and that is only for Djibouti. Let's see for all the countries. Bam, no drastic changes. And then if we say now we want to predict for a growth rate 2025, wow, that's one very drastic change. 2025, oh, 2025. And then let's try to see 2026. Well, as you can see, I can write any here, but you can write here as backward. Like, let's say now you have become so intelligent, and then you say, what if I write the same 2023? It will deny, saying that the year must be more than 2023 and less than 2030. So you have to try again, or else you write 2024. It will work. And then maybe let's say you want to write 2031, something like 2031. It will not work. Yeah, because it's higher than that. So let me wrap up. Here was my project presented to you, and I did a lot. formulas, cleaning data, and I worked with a large data set for my first time, over thousands of rows, and hopefully I finished, and here was my result. Thank you for watching. See you next time.